This is the SG1. I call it the swoop gun. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made it. For the SG1, I started with two Nerf guns. One is the long shot, and I forget what the front section was from. But knowing I was going to use those two Nerf guns, I went into Maya and mocked up my target, kind of the concept model of what I wanted to achieve with this build. I started with wanting to make the magazine, the ammo mags, larger. And I actually had a couple of old HP printer cartridges that I decided to use for this. I made it a double mag, and here I'm just figuring out how I'm going to attach them to the base of the gun. So I basically started with just a metal clip that I riveted to the mags, and I'm going to use what's called a drive connection, which is basically a C shape and a T shape. And what you do is you make a T shape out of metal, and you make a C shape and a connecting piece, and that C slides snugly over the T, and it'll hold two components together. So I started here with the T. I was going to put each side of the T on the side of the weapon with a couple of pop rivets. And then I would put the C shape on the mag. And here I'm just figuring out how it's all going to work. I basically just pop riveted the C shape to the top of the mag, and it worked out well. Slid right onto the bottom of the weapon. It holds itself on securely, and this allows me during filmmaking, I can actually have a character replace the mag. And here I ran around a little outside and held it up, made sure it was snug in place, and it was. So the next section I'm going to work on here is the foregrip. And you can see I just took a piece of sheet metal and rolled it to the shape. And I started to cut out sections that would allow me to slide it over top of the old Nerf gun and clear some of the pieces where I was going to have interference. And I really wanted to cover up all that noise from the bottom of the Nerf gun here. I actually had to cut away some of the bipod bracket, and then it slid right into place. And next I made what would be basically an end cap, which is going to support the rolled metal piece. So I cut that out and bent some tabs on it, which would allow me to have a point to fasten to. So I was going to slide the foregrip onto that and then pop rivet onto the tabs. So here's all the pieces laid out. You can see here I have a little barrel tip made out of PVC, another front bracket, and then the foregrip, which I was going to use a bike handle grip on, and I decided against that. I moved more towards it's like a 3M product, I believe. It's kind of a rubberized with a sticker back on it. So I just laid out a groove or slot pattern with ballpoint pen and cut it out with my X-Acto knife and attached it to the foregrip. I think it worked out pretty good. So here are some photos of the final assembly with a base layer of black paint. Eventually I'll paint over the rivets, and I had kind of done a quick mock-up in Photoshop of where I was going to paint some different colors. It's currently black. I haven't painted it any further than that. And finally I'll show you the scope, which is a flashlight, a piece of PVC, and an old broken Razor phone. And I assembled it in this fashion and then attached it to the top of the Nerf gun. And then for the final part of this build, you can see how I attached a piece of PVC as a barrel tip. And then I used a couple of other components for what would be basically a bayonet. And for that bottom element, I'll tell you more about that later. That's a specific design for a story with what this character is doing. And here's a couple final pictures of its current state. It's pretty much done. At some point I will paint it a little differently. But yeah, so that's the SG1. My final word of advice for you guys is if you're building these for filmmaking or for fun or for cosplay, you just always be mindful of where you take these props, because some people may think they're real, and you probably don't want to go out in public scaring people. So Just always use your best judgment on that. This is Chris with FPdesignfab, and until next time, build props, make movies, and have fun. So I made this in 2009, 2010 possibly, and it's October 2017 now, so I'm finally getting around to making a little video about it. I've made about 30 of these weapons, sci-fi kind of weapons props over the years. And so yeah, I just figured I'd get online and like so many other creators that are asking for likes and subscriptions and support on Patreon, I totally understand that. It takes a lot of work and time to do this. I do enjoy it. That's why I started making props, was just for fun. I worked in the video game industry as a professional art director for 15 years, and yeah, I loved it, but I missed the practical stuff, building real art and building things. Everything I was building was in the computer, and I was obsessed with it for a good 15 years. And yeah, I just started missing being in the shop and having cameras and lights. And the lighting's not real good in this setup. I just have an overhead for this. This is like quick and dirty in my spare time. But anyway, yeah, if you can check out my Patreon, and if you like this kind of stuff, if I get some support, some likes, and subscriptions, it'll motivate me to get out here more often and actually put some production value behind this stuff and show you guys some of these other weapons props and other cool stuff that I've been building. Alright, thanks, catch you next time.